Welcome, welcome everybody coming in. Hey, coach, there he is. Let's see.
Hey, Coach.
Coach, what's going on? How are y'all?
Good. Can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Everything is good
Awesome.
on y'all's end, man.
Awesome. Awesome.
That'll work. Let's give everybody a little couple minutes just to kind of get on. Let me see if I can find this picture. How y'all doing in all this coronavirus madness?
Man, it is a crazy time, is it not? Just adapting. Even Governor Abbott just came out for Texas just a few hours ago and released a lot of new information in terms of youth sports camps, clinics, uh, AAU stuff. Professional sports in Texas can all start May 30th or
I
30th.
saw that. That's big news. I saw Premier said that they're going to start, they can officially start hosting events on June 15th. So that's what I was kind of posting on our social media and everything. I think that's, some positive news for everyone that's been kind of anxious, waiting. At least we got some type of game plan to kind of start getting it.
We we just need like some kind of hope to get out of the gym, to get out of the house, to go see people again. You know,
Man, tell me about it. My kids are like dying to come just to come shoot in my gym, but like we finished a court yesterday just because we have all this downtime and everything, and then now we're starting to do like a deep cleaning and all that stuff. So they're like jumping at the bits. I'm like, that's just a couple more weeks. I think we're gonna be there.
yeah, so we're getting there. Yes, sir.
Cool.
Sir.
Well, again, anybody's jumping on, guys, you can feel free to have any comments, questions. Little question box at the bottom. We got a couple questions on there already. That's going to be the easiest way to do it. You can also comment in the chat. We'll try to pin your comments in there, and we'll just kind of ping pong it back and forth. So, y'all ready?
Yes, sir. Whatever you need us.
Cool. Um, First of all, if y'all just want to introduce yourselves, Coach Henson and Coach Brown, just kind of introduce yourself, talk about your experience, your basketball journey in general.
Go ahead. Thanks.
I'm Cheyenne Brown. I just finished my playing career at Harding University. I was there for 2 years before I transferred from Northwestern State, where I started off for 3 years. Um, it's been an experience, and uh, I'm so excited to start this new career path.
And those that don't know, Coach Brown, I was at Nichols. She was at Northwestern. She busted us up a couple times. She can definitely play. Stretch the floor, put it on the ground, a little bit of everything. So I'm excited. Whenever Coach said that you were there, man, that's cool to kind of see. It's really awesome to see, especially women. That kind of play the game, walk in these footsteps, and then transition into the other side. That's awesome. I'm fired up for you.
Yeah, I thought that was the best recruiting job I've done. Starting over completely scratch. We have a whole new roster and everything, but the best recruiting job I did was getting her, honestly, because, I mean, Texas State Player of the Year, won a couple of state championships. She played D1, and, I mean, just for you guys specifically being, she played in Northwestern State for 3 years. It just made a lot of sense. She's fresh out of college and through this process for a lot of young ladies, and her mom was a big part of her recruiting process, and she's been in different programs. So I just thought there might be a lot of questions that people might want to ask her.
For sure.
Don't have all the answers, and stupid title doesn't entitle me to give all of them. She's going to be running the show day in and day out over here, I'm pretty certain. So
I love it, man. I really appreciate y'all both coming on. Can you talk a little bit about your program, first year in, I believe, and how that all is getting, I guess, bombarded with all this COVID-19 fun stuff?
Yeah, so Jacksonville College, it's a Christian affiliated, faith-based junior college. It's the only one in Texas. Not a lot of those schools around like that. I've kind of grown up in a lot of 4-year programs and spent a lot of years coaching in Christian affiliated, faith-based schools. Something that's kind of my niche. I've also coached at 3 other state schools too, so I've done both. But it's kind of my niche and passion to kind of witness to people, to save the lost and disciple those that aren't, so they can go out and be stronger Christians for the world. And we just use the game of basketball to do that. So we're a little bit different in terms of that. We're a little bit unique we have that mission field, we recruit to that. It's very special to us. It's something we're bold about. We don't shy away from. But we're very, very common in terms of, junior college facilities and the 2-year degree program and, that kind of thing. So a lot of similarities in some ways, but we're very unique in that one specific way. They haven't, in the last few years, Jacksonville College women's basketball team hasn't been very good. Went through some struggles and not sure exactly why. I don't really get into all that, but that's why they decided to make a coaching change. And so, we're just coming in trying to create a new culture, get a little different type of kid and person, bring the kids that we believe in. And so that's kind of what we've been doing. It's been a challenge to recruit, not having to be able to bring kids on campus.
Yeah.
But, just finished year 16 of doing this in women's college basketball. It's the first time I've ever been a part of offering kids over the phone, not in person. First time I've ever offered kids without meeting them or their family in person. And so that's been a little bit different. You kind of have to rely on your experience and your trust and people a little bit more. But I think it's going really good. Very, very pleased with the kids we have signed, 11, 12. Signed, committed, and just a few more spots left to go. So going really well in just a matter of 3 or 4 weeks. So
For sure, man. That's awesome. Again, guys, those of you that are jumping on, feel free to ask any questions. We're gonna get to some questions real quick. Got a big variety of experience here. We got a female that played college level, Division I. Now she's back into the coaching. We've got Coach Henson that's been here for 10 plus years, all different levels. Coach, you were at D3, junior college. What other levels were you at?
Yeah, I coached at Lubbock Christian University for 7 years, won a Division II undefeated national championship, and was there for 7. Was the head coach at another Division III. Coached at South Plains Junior College in West Texas to get my start. I coached Division I at Texas Tech. I worked for Christy and Kelly Curry when they were at Texas Tech. Now they're at Alabama.
Yep.
Another one of their staffers is at Vanderbilt. Another one's at Baylor, Bill Brock and Sharika Wright. Good friends of mine and great mentors to me early on in my career. So you kind of had some experience in Division I, II, III, NAI, JUCO. I've been a player, been a manager, been a GA, been a practice player, been an assistant, been an associate head coach, been a head coach. So I can relate to a lot of different people in different areas. And but I don't feel like I'm too old yet, though. I'm just 35. But when I say it like that, sometimes I do feel old. But I think the main thing with me and her is we're winners. I've never had a season, at the end of the year that I finished. And she's honestly just had one as a player and coach. And both been a part of conference and state championships and national championships, Elite Eights and Final Fours, a bunch of them. So that's what I've really, really excited about, putting her head with mine and all that in terms of this program. So
That's awesome, man. People make the plays for sure. So here we go. We got the first question.
Okay.
My daughter is 5'2", so she's a little smaller guard. In her high school, what are things college coaches look for in smaller guards in order to be considered like recruiting a smaller guard?
Sure. That's a really good question. So yesterday I had a kid pop up. She's 4'11" on my radar.
Oh wow!
Yeah, from the DFW Metroplex. A friend, told me about her, but says she shoots the 3 ball in the 50 percentile range. And can make them at the 6A level against some really good teams, even 5-6 feet behind the arc. So I know some people that I've worked for that are real big on like frame and length and that kind of thing, just athleticism. Me, I just look for basketball players. I really love skill and IQ and versatility. And if the kid can play, he can play. I don't really care if they're round or, a water hose frame. I don't care. I just want kids that can play basketball. And sometimes that may come in short stature. It kind of puts you at a disadvantage. But, man, if you can shoot it, you really have to have a quick release, especially like in our conference. There's a lot of D1 kids, a lot of really good athletes. You got to be able to get that ball off fast and from a lot of different angles, off the bounce or right off the catch, and, with, space behind the arc. But, if you're little, you're going to have to really be able to shoot at a high level because you're not going to get in there in the trees against a bunch of high D1, high D2s. So much size in there, it's going to be difficult. But if you do, you better have a pretty good floater runner, you
Yeah.
know, Steph type of things, and Steve Nash, they got crafty with how they could finish high off the glass and different angles and both hands, not being too big of guys. But I definitely think you got to be able to shoot and get the thing off fast before it gets blocked or tipped. But, really being able to help defensively with quick feet, quick hands, a lot of communication, be a really good leader. You handle the ball and just be an amazing facilitator.
Yeah.
You can't score a lot if you can get two on the ball and open other people up, but there's a lot of ways to affect the game and be a really good teammate without, just being able to score. So I know I would say 70, 80% of coaches, college coaches that I know would kind of rule 5-2 out. But there are those select few that will just say, hey, we're looking for basketball players, and I don't care what height or weight or shape they come in. So
No
you
doubt.
have to find a good fit.
In the South, and I can tell you from my experience, just touching base on that question, they had a lot of very, very good guards. One of them was at Northwestern State. I don't know if, Perez, I believe she was the conference player of the year. She probably will go down as one of the best players of all time at Northwestern State, if not in the conference in general. They won two back-to-back tournament championships, and it was kind of like you said behind her. I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with the 180 Club, where you shoot a total of percentage behind three-point line, free throw, and field goal percentage. You combine all that together, and if it's above 180 points, then you're classified as a really, really good shooter. The Steve Nash's and Steph Curry's, she was definitely one of those. I think she was closer to 190 than anything. But it's a great point right there. Cheyenne, were you there whenever she was there at all?
Yeah,
Or
I played with her my freshman year.
you want to talk about her a little bit?
So Janelle, she was a short little girl, but she was feisty. She was a great shooter. She was fast, and she knew how to get the ball to her players. She was very good at seeing the court, and she's probably one of the best players I've ever played with. She was a great leader. So, like Coach Henson said, there's so many ways to affect the game, and just coming like from a post player, having a guard that can find you regardless is great. But Janelle just saw the floor differently. She was great at it, and she could shoot lights out. So having a point guard that could bring up the ball like that, being that short, being able to shoot, I mean, that's so many things on the offensive end.
Yeah, and I think another thing that she did really well, she shot the free throw at like 95 to 98 her whole freaking career. So she's small, so whenever you're like hedging on pick and rolls, she's getting foul calls. But then to isolate and end the game, like the ball's always in her hand, you just can't catch up with her to get it out of her hand. You just have to foul her. That's great point. That's pretty cool that was a question that kind of we was able to reference Perez.
Yeah.
Another question. Again, guys, anybody that's jumping on, feel free. You can ask any questions in the comments or in the little question box at the bottom. What characters do you look for potential student athletes for your program? We kind of talked about that a little bit, but can you talk about that again?
Character? Like what kind of?
Like what type of person are you looking for?
Sure. So we really like kids that want to be here, that want to be at Jacksonville.
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit. Coach, today I can't hear you. Coach, can you hear me? I'm not sure if it's just on my end. I can't hear him. Let's see. Anybody watching, can y'all comment in the chat if y'all can hear him? I can't hear him on my end. Let me see. Coach, you there? I cannot. I'm gonna cut. I'm gonna bump you out and try to get him back in. All right, guys. So we're gonna bump him out and try to get him back in here. Might have been there, Aaron. I think they're at their school. There we go. Again, guys, anybody watching, feel free. Ask any questions you have in the comment box. Oh, try again.
Can you hear me now?
I
Good
can hear
now?
you, but the video's a little laggy. There we go. I think it's catching up.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about
All
that.
right, there we go.
Yeah.
Video's a little cut out. It might catch up though. Let's see.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Yeah, we're good. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Yeah. So those are the kind of people we're looking for. Intrinsically motivated, kids that want to get up, get shots up, get up and go to class. So we're not having to drag and do that, to motivate to do that, where we can just do our best job in coaching and discipling and helping them, and we're not having to worry about just motivating all the time. I think at 18, 19 years old, and when we can pick who we're going to pay to come to school,
Yeah.
those are the kind of kids that we're looking for. That's the kind of kids that I want to trust to be around my little girl and my son. They're around the gym and practice and all that. I want those kind of role models. So I'm not really looking for the knuckleheads that have red flags and problems in their past. That in a nutshell, we want really good players. Typically, this conference has a lot of Division I players, either coming in or leaving, going out. So, but we've said this all the time to kids so far that we're recruiting. I think a lot of junior college coaches are all about just getting the D1 level because it helps that coach in junior college turn around and sell again. But that's not what we're about. Our calling is to help these kids, and if they want to go to another Christian school, then we're going to help them go to another Christian school. If they want to get into a nursing school or a really prestigious graphic design school is one of them, we're going to search and hunt every graphic design school in the country and help them get into that. But if they want to get into Division I, we're going to do everything we can to help them get there with the resources and connections that we've made over our time here in women's basketball. So we're just in it for the kid and help them reach their dreams and goals, as opposed to us pushing a certain level or a certain idea onto them, if that makes sense.
Yep, for sure, absolutely. Another question I had, again, guys, feel free to ask any questions that you have, either in the chat or in the question box below. For Coach Brown, can you talk back, again, like a lot of our audience is, the middle school and the high school student athlete. So you've kind of been through the process, especially most recently here. Can you talk about the transition from high school to being a freshman? You're going to have a lot of kids coming in, especially at the junior college. You're going to always turn over a lot of kids. So you're going to be seeing that process. Can you talk about that process? Some things you struggled with, maybe you would have done differently?
So I came from a small school, a small town, graduated 29 people. I knew everyone. So going to Northwestern State, it was a little bit of a culture shock. But the main thing is just being able to prioritize. I know this is kind of cliche, but like time, managing your time, it's really important between balancing practices, classes, study halls, strength and conditioning. Like it's really good to prioritize your time. And that's one thing I learned very fast. Just finding times to be able to be successful in everything that I do and do it the best that I can do. So going from high school to college, you have to realize you don't have as much free time as you think you would. High school is pretty, 8 to 3, practice after, some homework, but it's not to the standards of college. College, you get a lot of freedom. So it's very important that you come in with a good mind, knowing that if you want to succeed, you have to do things maybe a little differently than what you see other athletes doing or other just regular students, because you're not going to have that regular student life.
For sure. And kind of talking about that again. So more so like at the high school level, we've got kids that are freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, and they're with this recruiting process in general. Can you talk about like the recruiting process and how your experience was? Again, some things that worked for you, maybe some stuff that didn't. What would you have done differently? Was that?
So I going through the recruiting process twice was really eye opening. From going out of high school and then transferring after Northwestern State, uh, I did a lot of things differently the second time that I wish I would have done the first time. Number one, I recommend that kids they do the research about the school. Don't go just based off what you're being told. Do it yourself. Look into things. Look at the town websites. Look at all of that just to figure out what you're getting yourself into, and if it's going to be a good fit for you. I would also say ask players questions. That's the biggest thing. When you get on campus for your recruiting visit, ask the players what you want to know because more than likely they're going to tell you the truth no matter what. And I think that's very important for kids to know because you might be a little intimidated coming in as a high schooler onto a college campus. But it's important to ask those questions. I would say ask a tons of questions. Anything you want to know, even if you think it's stupid, ask it because majority of times it's not stupid. It's something you probably should need to know.
For sure. That's a great point, man. That's a great point. You had to experience it not once but twice, and you can learn from your own experience right there. And I really appreciate you sharing that. That's great knowledge for sure. Coach Henson, we got a question here for you. What is the toughest part of rebuilding a program that you're kind of looking into?
Um, so I've done this several times now. In the last 6 or 7 years, just in different places. The first part is always kind of evaluating what is there and getting to know some of the players or not to know them. Just getting to know their games and looking at their social media and deciding if they're going to be a fit for the future. Because these kids, on one standpoint, even though they're not under Coach Henson's program, they were a part of Jacksonville College.
Yeah.
Or they were a part of East Texas Baptist University. They were a part of Sul Ross or wherever. And so they kind of made that a home. And I have a lot of respect for that, and I don't, take that away from them. I've also learned that it's really, really, really difficult when kids are recruited by someone. We say all the time in the recruiting process, make sure wherever you choose is a place you could go to school, even if the coach wasn't there. But a lot of people just don't because we're naturally, as human beings, we're just so drawn to other people and we're relationship driven. And the main reason why these kids choose to come there is because of a recruiting relationship with a coach. It's just the way that it happened. And so when that coach leaves, it's going to be hard to create a buy-in to something that's usually completely different from the one before, or else they wouldn't have left. Either left or, asked to leave or whatever. So it's that part's just really tough, trying to evaluate who to let go. Just that whole process, it's really difficult. Recruiting for me, everywhere I've ever been, I wouldn't say it's been easy. It's just work, and I've never been afraid of the work. So I just get to grinding and get in a mode and been able to build programs that way. But this virus time has definitely been the most difficult to rebuild a program when you can't look people in the eye, and you can't face to face, you can't bring them on campus, you can't go watch kids play. It's definitely been the most challenging in some regard. You really have to trust yourself in terms of what you're seeing in Zoom and on FaceTime and what you're seeing on video. When you're not, you've always done it, but it's not the sole thing you've relied on in the past. So
For sure.
that part's challenging this time.
A question that I get a lot personally from other coaches, whether it's AAU, high school, anything in particular, they're always asking me like, how can I connect more with college coaches? Can you kind of give any advice on that? Of how does a high school or an AAU coach connect more with a college coach to betterment of their student athletes?
Sure, and it's a good question. And so I'm one. Man, I connect with people on pretty much any platform there is to connect with right now. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. There's a lot of direct messages that go back and forth. The email thing, the phone. Very seldom do I get stuff on my office phone, but sometimes I will. But there's a lot of stuff for my cell phone. I've had my same cell phone for 14 of these years or something. So really, it can be any way, and for the most part, I do my very best to respond to everything because people took the time to send me an email or take a phone call. So if I can't answer it right then, I try to get back to it in the next day or two. Um, I would say in terms of like the best ways to for sure get it looked at is probably either an email or a direct message on a social media platform with a highlight video type of thing, a little background. Here's probably the biggest hint I can give people. It is a lot more attractive for us to look at longer and be entertained by when you include a lot of information. When you don't just send a video and there's nothing, or you just send a name, hey, you ought to look at this kid. When you have, contact number, height,
What grade they're in?
classification,
Yeah.
highlight video, when you put the main 7 or 8 things in there, their GPA,
Yep.
things like that, the top 7 or 8 things that people look for. Don't send 2 or 3 different emails to get all that information. Include it nice and neat and organized where it's easy to read and you can click on a video, and that makes it a lot more attractive to us when we get 30 of these things a day for us to actually click on and then say, all right, she does fit all our criteria or not.
For sure, man. I agree
2020.
wholeheartedly with
I
that,
don't know
man.
if
I
that kid's
can't
21.
stand. Yeah, like I can't stand like not knowing what classification these people are in. Oh, you there? You
Yeah,
good? All right, cool.
yeah.
Next
Or
question we got.
you really like you like a video, but you want it to come
Oh,
back and forth.
you're breaking up a little bit.
That's a huge one, or you can't tell their height.
Coach, you there?
Can
We
you hear
lost
me?
you a little bit. I can hear you. There you go. All right, we're caught back
Yeah,
up.
can you hear me? Okay. So, if you really like a video, but you don't have a contact number, well, then you got to
yeah,
email for the contact number and wait for them to reply. And then by that point, you kind of forget the highlight video. You got to go back and watch it again. And it's just not good for their end of things to get seen. Or you like a kid on video and you're kind of like, was that kid 5'7" or 5'9" or 5'10" or 5'6"? If you just kind of, and then tell the truth on that stuff. I got
yeah.
one the other day from Nigeria that claimed she was 6'2" guard, and I think she's 5'9". I mean, even close. Just tell the truth because it's eventually going to come back to haunt you. And you want to start your relationship in the recruiting process based on truth and honesty. So
Great
I don't know.
advice,
I
man.
don't know if that helped a little bit, but that's
That
my
did. That
tidbits.
definitely did. Coach Brown, we got another question, and I'm going to kind of relay to a question that I had. When did you start playing basketball seriously? And the question was, in y'all's opinion, either one of y'all can answer. What do you think for a young girl? When should she really start taking the game seriously if she wants to play college basketball?
Well, I started playing seriously when I was like 4 or 5 years old. Um, it's a lot of people don't know Martins Mill in Louisiana or other places, but Martins Mill is a powerhouse in Texas. I mean, we're a small school, but we compete, and it's something that we grew up doing. We have little dribblers. If you're serious about basketball, you start little dribblers, and you start that in Pee Wee leagues. So it's something you do every year, and the high school coach is there watching you. The junior high coach there is watching you. I mean, it's just something you develop into doing. So I've never liked any sport really more than basketball. I mean, softball was close, but basketball, I knew basketball was my thing. In 8th grade, I stopped playing summer softball like that and just focused on basketball. So it for a girl, I mean, you just kind of know if you like it or you
Yeah.
don't. And I'm not going to say pick one sport over the other because I didn't do that in high school. I did 3 different sports, but I mean, the one you spend your summers doing, that's what you know you're going to do and what you put your time.
The only
That's
thing
great
I would
advice.
probably, the only thing I'd probably, so I have a 6-year-old little, and I'm not in a rush for her to get into anything. It's great if she wants to. I just want her to say, "Hey, Dad, I want to do this." And then the other thing I've kind of learned through a couple of other older, wiser guys that's had daughters along the way too is they don't have to be playing competitively at an early age. They can get involved with you up at the gym working on skills, and then you can wait till 6th grade and spend elementary just working on skills and get them involved and let them have fun, or vice versa. You can just let them have fun and not do any skill development, and then. But there's so many in this day and age, everybody's all about the games. We just got to go play the games, get more game action, and there's so many games throughout the whole year. We're in season, out of season. There's just never a break, and sometimes kids just need to get in the gym and work on their craft, to work on their game more than they do actually playing in a live action game. You can get more reps. You can get more individual instruction. You can really develop a lot of toughness and identity and who you are as a player by just getting in the gym by yourself or with a trainer or with a partner. There's much attention or rep.
Lost you a
We
little
all,
bit. Let's see.
parents and kids and coaches alike, we might. Can you hear me still?
Yep.
I think all of us might consider maybe we ought to take a month off and let's get in the gym, and then we can play some games too instead of just doing games all the time. Because I think the skill and the IQ and the work ethic and some of that is kind of going out the window through some generations, and just learn how to get back in and grind and shoot and shoot and shoot. And then the game is kind of like the test. It's the reward. Instead of it just being dessert all the time, go eat your entree, eat salad before. So
Yeah.
just throw that one out there too. I know I'm thinking about that with my little girl and my little boy as he grows up. So
Yeah, I think it's definitely a fine balance, especially with parents that are like super anxious. But I think, like Coach Brown said, it's really more so about like when you find that passion more than anything. Like, there's a great point. Like, you played 3 sports in high school, but some people are just focused on let's just play one sport. You can play all the sports, but what you focus on over the summer, where you're going to really, really get a lot better, and what you focus on with all your extra time is what's the sport that you're most passionate about. I thought that was great advice too, especially for people that are at smaller schools where it's looked at for you to play, and you have a better opportunity to play more sports. That's definitely, you see that in the NFL all the time. Like, they're always pushing that they want multi-sport athletes and all that stuff. That's all great information there. All right, let's see, we got one more question. Where'd this go? Can you talk about any letdowns you've had, each of you in your career, and what did you do to rebound from that disappointment?
talking about that a little bit today in terms of handling adversity and teaching kids to handle adversity in this profession a little bit. So I'll let you go.
Probably the biggest letdown in my career was my knee, hurting my knee my junior year. A year that I thought was just going to be nothing but rainbows and sunshines, honestly. Like, just adversity happened, and it's not something I ever expected to happen. And, a lot of times I was miserable that year. I transferred after that year. Just a lot of things I saw behind the scenes and stuff. I was no longer a fit for that program. Not for me. I wasn't happy. And most people probably would have quit after that because it was a struggle that year. But up, and it was hard coming back from it. I mean, when you hurt yourself, you never realize how much you use your knees until you hurt them. And you can't move the way you used to move. You can't do do certain moves, post moves the way you used to. Like it's a mental game. So that was probably the hardest thing I went through. And then transferring to Harding and having them believe in me to come back. Not as strong as I was before, but getting there. I broke my hand in November when I got to Harding, so it was just like one thing after another. But they built me back as a player, and it, like I said, it's all about that that they know that they have your back. That's really
Yeah.
important. Is the fit.
For sure, and I think a lot of people, throughout these interviews that I've done, especially with the college coaches, they always talk about fit. So that's definitely like coach. You talked about like you want to have a fit with the coaching staff, you want to have a fit with the school, you want to have a fit with everything. Coach Brian talked about. I mean, that was a great story there. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. ACLs are very popular in girls basketball, so for you to share that with us and see someone that's kind of gone through something similar to that. And still bounce back. And can you kind of talk about, last question I have here, Coach Brown, can you talk about the transition from like when the ball stopped bouncing for you at the end of the day? Again, advice in general that you have, middle school, high school girls that we're looking for. What is life after basketball? How did you use the basketball to get you to where you're at today instead of like basketball really using you?
So I never really, I thought maybe I could play professionally somewhere overseas or something. This coronavirus thing, uncertain times call for uncertain things that happen. This opportunity that Coach Henson has given me was something I could not pass up. It's something that I knew I was going to work for someone who was going to teach me things that I may not have learned under other people. Just giving me the opportunity, believing me. I haven't GA'd anywhere. So the assistant coach coming straight from a playing career, like that means he has a lot of trust in me. For girls, not just in basketball, but outside of basketball, because you're right. Knowing who you are and what you believe in and the people you want to surround things outside of basketball career. I have so many people back in Natchitoches and Searcy that, I mean, they're family friends. Like they'll be part of my family forever. So it's all about gaining those relationships and having people that are going to be in your corner when that ball stops bouncing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Great advice again, Coach Henson and Coach Brown. I appreciate y'all for coming on, spending some time with us. You mind sharing, like you talked about already? I think they want to have your Instagram for now. I'll pop up your Twitter. Can you share your email or anything if anyone wants to kind of get in contact with either of you?
Listen. Sorry, cut out on us. What do you need us to share?
Oh, your emails. If anyone wants to get in contact with you, I have your social media and all that. If you can share your emails.
Yeah. Mine is C Henson at Jacksonville College.
Brown at college
Website, and they're listed on there as well as our phone numbers if you need to email or text anything, and you can look us up on social media as well. So
Awesome, man. Again, guys, appreciate it. You guys need anything my way, feel free to reach out. Looking forward to some big things from you guys. Can't wait to keep up with y'all throughout the season. And again, thanks. Appreciate it. If y'all need anything, let me know. What's going on? What's going on? Oh, Crystal in the building. Let me see if I can figure this out. Crystal in the building.
How you doing?
Man, I can't complain. Any better? I mean, I couldn't stand it. What's going on with you?
Nothing much, just at the house, you know.
You in Pineville?
Yeah, yeah.
At least I don't have your trap down here. Let me see if I can find this picture.